Hello, this is week 7 of the 13-week fiscal program for American prisoners of war. My name is Chief Biko. Today we have Chief Alligator as well as Chief Quietwater. And here we focus more so on the first letter in the acronym APOW, which is American. I will start off today with the readings of the 12 steps. Share my screen. All right, step 1. Learn about the estate or estates your family originated from. Step 2, who established that estate. Step 3, what tribe and confederacy had jurisdiction over that area prior to the European. Step 4, ask all nonprofit organizations you attend, what's your position on reparations. Step 5, they either support it or they don't. No support, no money. However, if they support it, then children and adults need weekly classes free of charge about steps 1, 2, and 3. In addition, field trips to APOW landmarks in that city, county, and the state are needed. Step 6, don't support European holidays for the remainder of the 13-week time frame. Step 7, avoid spending money with any small businesses that do not hire your people. Example, gas stations, nail salons, subways, corner stores, etc. Step 8, all businesses need operating cash. Spend money with American businesses. Step 9, all other groups rely on our energy and operating cash to survive. Set the trends of making other groups follow our lead and support our clubs, services, products, and entertainment. Step 10, the US government is bankrupt. The Federal Reserve prints money, i.e. quantitative easing. It also burns money, i.e. quantitative tightening. The US dollar has been backed by gold since Richard Nixon in 1971, the Gold Standard Act. The government operates off the full faith of its citizens to pay debt and taxes. American prisoners of war no longer have faith in the US government. This is why financial support will be altered, stopped, and redirected. Step 11, teach your children 1 hour a day about their history on this land. A, have them learn about an American inventor. B, have them know about our heroes. C, they should know the European that conquered the estate you live in. And D, they should know the nation of people prior to the European invasion militarily and culturally. Step 12, practicing these steps will educate us on the land we're claiming America and attaches us to the history and laws of the US government. Every estate American prisoners of war live in should have steps 1, 2, and 3 advertised via social media, radio, and newspaper. This in 13 weeks, 1 fiscal quarter, will bring us together for our common cause. Next, we will have Chief Alligator with the Inventor.
Okay, today I'm going to do J.H. Smith. He invented the lawn sprinkler. Born and death date are unknown. I was unable to get that information. The federal patent number for the lawn sprinkler is 601065. And the patent date is March 22nd, 1898. And we do not receive any percentage of the income for that invention from that industry that was created by our lineage.
Thank you, Chief Alligator. Next will be the quote, and I believe you also have the quote as well there, Chief Alligator. So I'll let you continue with the quote.
Okay. All right, let me pull up the quote. I'm going to do quote 9 from Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Quote 9, Negroes must become like English gentlemen who study the law of the land, not because they intend to practice the profession, but because every gentleman should know the law. In the interpretation of the law by the courts, too, all the rights of the Negroes in this country are involved, and a large number of us must qualify for this important service. We may have too many lawyers of the wrong kind, but we have not our share of the right kind.
Great quote. Great quote. Next, we'll have Chief Quietwater read off the legal definitions as well as the maroon historical points.
All righty. So the legal definitions: number 1, American, a native of America. Number 2, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. Number 3, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Number 4, prisoner of war, a person, usually a soldier who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Number 5, school, an institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. Number 6, education, an enlightening experience. And then the maroon historical points. Number 1 was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom, or breaking the law. Number 2, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Number 3, maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number 4, maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. And number 5, maroons knew their European enemy, language, defenses, and plans.
Thank you, Chief Quiet Watch. Last but not least, we will jump into the Constitution. All right. Article 1, Section 10. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender and payment. So again, nothing but gold and silver coin are considered payment or are considered money to pay debts. So all of the derivatives from that, the dollar bill, greenback, things of that nature, your penny, your dimes, things of that, they all come from the derivative or the main thing being gold and silver. But of course, us understanding that gold and silver are the only thing payable for debts, then understanding that all of the other derivatives aren't actually paying off any debts. So that's going to be key, especially in regards to the reparations talk that is definitely being continue to be pushed and spoken about within different aspects, especially social media. Next, we will go to Article 6. And Article 6 states, this Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. So again, this article here just stresses that the treaty is the supreme law of the land and it supersedes everything. So if there is a conflicting act, conflicting policy or statute, if there's a treaty or a treaty available that comes before it or even after it, that is going to supersede any of those different legislation acts there. So again, the treaty is the supreme law of the land. And last but not least, the militia. Let's see. I think it's this page. All right. Section 2 of Article 2 states here that the president shall be commander-in-chief of the Army, Navy of the United States, and of the militia of the several states. So again, the president not only is the commander-in-chief of the Army, the Navy, but also the militia. Last year, we showed that Georgia is pretty much a militia state. Militia state is broken up into militia districts. So at any time, the president can call upon any of those militia districts to enforce whatever he needs to be enforced. So again, just understanding that the president isn't only the commander of the Army and Navy, but also of the militia of the several states. I'll share my screen here. So just to, I guess, bring back what we did from last week, summarize that, we ended off on the Freedmen's Bureau. And as we continue to work through these different documents, the amendments, we haven't seen anything that is specific to our people, which is the American. Nothing specifying Negro, colored, any of the different reclassifications we've been brought up underneath in this government. None of those classification has been specified in any of these documents. So again, 13th through 15th Amendment, nothing. Freedmen's Bureau, nothing. The Amnesty Proclamation, nothing specific to us. So now we're jumping into 1866 Civil Rights Act. And we'll dive into this to see if anything is specific again to our people. I've listed off 3 classifications: American, Negro, colored. Let's see if any of those reclassification terms are within this document to see if this actually pertains to us. And this is definitely going to be key because we know Dr. King and a lot of the civil rights activists that we like to, that we learn about within these, brainwashing camps that we call schools, always bring up the Civil Rights Act of 1965. So if there's one that supersedes this, it almost kind of answers the question that this one kind of doesn't apply to us as well. But let's see for ourselves as we read through this to see if we can find anything that we can see that is specific to us. All right, I'll start here with the first section here. Civil Rights Act of 1866, Chapter 31, an act to protect all persons in the United States in their civil rights and furnish the means of their vindication. So again, we kind of spoke on this briefly. I want to say about 2 weeks ago, or a week. Yeah, I want to say 2 weeks ago when we were breaking down the 13th through 15th Amendment, that term persons, and we can see it's a capital P. So again, any individual, corporation, organization, business can be considered a person. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians, not taxed, are hereby declared to be citizens of the United States. I'll just stop right there. We see that they specified Indians, not taxed. We know this is the American that pretty much went west of the Mississippi, or was forced west of the Mississippi into Indian territories, present-day Oklahoma. So they're specifically identifying that the American is excluded. The American is excluded from becoming a citizen underneath their government. Why? Because they're already underneath their own nation. They're whatever tribe or anything like that, they have their own nation. So they're saying they're excluded from becoming a citizen. Anybody want to piggyback off of that? Good to go?
Yeah, I'll go. This is real important because this is referring to the split that you just referred to. We have to understand American form of government is confederacy, tribes, nation. The people who came over here and founded the United States government, those 56 some odd people, George Washington and all of those people that we were brainwashed to call our forefathers, it's clearly stating right here, has nothing to do with the American. So if we fast forward in 2022, we can see how the brainwashing through school has harmed us because we keep trying to be a part of something that all the way back in 1866, they're clearly saying in that sentence you got highlighted, Americans are excluded and they're not taxed. Yeah, we're not going to generate any resources from that group of people to help our government function because they're a part of a separate government. I just wanted to drill in on that because this is one of the problems we have today, where we keep trying to imply that we have a status under this government that we clearly do not. Because if we did, please, somebody tell us, drop a comment on this video and explain why are we not receiving specific protection and specific resources if we're a citizen of the United States government.
Excellent point you made there.
Yeah.
Excellent point there.
Yeah, definitely. I agree 100% with what you just said. It's like we are forcing ourselves into the narrative that we just do not fit in.
Correct, correct. Definitely like to imply that these different terms are associated with our group of people. We see they can be specific. They
Right.
specify any is not taxed. So we know all of us didn't go west of the Mississippi. We're still the Americans. So you would think they can specify the Americans that didn't go west of the Mississippi or anything like that. But let's continue here. See if we can find anything of that such. And such citizens of every race and color, without regard to any previous condition of slavery or involuntary servitude, except as punishment of crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall have the same right in every state and territory in the United States to make and enforce contracts, to sue, be parties, and give evidence, to inherit, purchase, lease, sell, hold, and convey real and personal property, and to full and equal benefit of laws and proceedings for the security of person and property. I'll stop here and unpack this. So it's saying here that from this first sentence, previous condition of slavery or involuntary servitude. I believe this year in the beginning of this fiscal quarter, we highlighted who the actual peasants were. Indentured servants go underneath involuntary servitude. And again, we highlighted that those who were in debt to somebody were considered a slave as well. We understand that King George emptied his debtor prisons. Again, being in debt means to be a slave. Emptied out his debtor prisons into the colony, Georgia. So understanding that, we understand who the actual slave was or involuntary servitude was as well. So understanding that, they're saying, despite your previous condition, despite you being released from King George's debtor prisons, despite all that, you will be considered a citizen. So if you were just farming on land, if you were, again, just fresh off the boat from being in prison for certain debts, all of that is going to be wiped away and you are now going to be considered a citizen. And the only way you will be back into slavery, stated here, except as punishment for crime, where the party shall have been duly convicted. So again, only way slavery is legal is if we convict you of a crime, crime. And we know that today there is more prisoners today than there were back in, I believe, what was it, 1850 or 70 or something like that. So we're seeing how this is being pushed in today's world here. So we keep moving, shall have the same right in every state and territory to make, enforce contracts, to sue, be parties, and give evidence, to inherit, purchase, lease, sell, hold, and convey real and personal property, and to full and equal benefits of all laws and proceedings for the security of person and property. So they're basically saying you have all the legal right of a citizen. So you can own land, you can sue, you can secure your property, so you have protections. So these different things, and as Chief Alligator alluded to earlier, if this applied to us, then why are we still fighting for these protections? Anybody want to build off this section here?
Yeah, let me help you out. Let me throw in my little 2 cents. Let's go back to that first sentence, that all persons born in the United States. If you can highlight that all persons, that's gonna be that second sentence. Yep. All persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power. Let's look at what they're really saying. If you came on a boat from a prison in Europe and you were still subject to that foreign power, you wouldn't be a citizen. But if you had a child on the land, North America, that child born would be a United States citizen, because it says all persons born in the United States. So if that peasant came over here and he was a convict, if he's still liable for a debt, he can't be a US citizen because he's still property of a province or kingdom or whatever in Europe. But if he had a child here, right, that child would be a part of this new business. This is a company. United States, it's a new company. So they're just trying to get their customer base. So they're saying, hey, you come here, here are the terms to be a citizen. The next part that jumps out to me, we already went over the Americans aren't taxed because they're a part of a separate government. And such citizens of every race and color without regard to any previous condition of slavery or involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. So they're hurting their own as well.
Right.
We like to just automatically assume because we see the word slavery, we like to just say, oh, that's us. But we have to remember every last single one of them came over here on a boat.
Right.
So if you were convicted of a crime on this land and you were European, you couldn't be a citizen. This goes in line with what you've already read. The Amnesty Act was their President Andrew Johnson's way of saying, hey, come back under the Union. Then we read the Freedmen's Bureau Act. They're saying, all right, that's not enough, that we won't punish you, right? We're giving you amnesty. That didn't make all of y'all take the bait. All right, we'll give you 40 acres and a mule. Now they're going a step further and they're saying, okay, here's in addition what we're willing to do. Now, let's look at this part where it says every race and every color without regard to any previous condition of slavery. Let's just play devil's advocate and say that we're going to assume we were slaves. Understanding there's a reconstruction, understanding that the Civil War never happened, slavery, the legal definition that Chief Quietwater read, is complete control over someone. That's a fancy way of saying prisoner of war.
Right. Yeah.
So if you were under the conditions of working on a prisoner or POW camp, i.e. plantation, and you did have our skin color based off race, because now they're entering the word race and color into their dynamic, right? They would allow you to be a citizen unless you're convicted of a crime. But it doesn't rhyme with American history. This is where it's not passing the acid test, because if this is our entry point under the United States government as a citizen, then there would be no such thing as segregation and Jim Crow, those are also terms through Reconstruction to just make it sound better than what it was, prisoner of war. Let me go down a little further. It should have the same right in every state and territory in the United States to make and enforce contracts, to sue, be party, give evidence, to inherit, purchase, lease, sell, and convey real and personal property, and to full and equal benefit of all laws and proceedings for security of person or property. Has that been our story from 1866 to 1966?
Not at all.
So we have to ask ourselves this question. Even if we're saying that this applies to us, it still doesn't add up. Because if you had all these capabilities, you're telling me I can go down to any courthouse, I can file any documents I want to, this, that, and the other. If that was the case, then why were they hanging us after church in the town hall in the middle of the day? and nobody got charged with murder. So clearly we couldn't have been citizens because nobody would get charged for our murders. Emmett Till is one they like to throw in our face a lot. That lady, his murderer is still alive and has never been tried. So again, it's like we have this almost childlike imagination when it comes to the United States government, where we want to put ourselves as citizens under it, where reality shows us different. Chief Quietwater, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, I agree. It's like we're interjecting ourselves where it doesn't even make sense in regards to what we're reading. And like you said, it doesn't pass the acid test of what has been taught and what we're actually reading right now. So we just have to be cognitive of the history of these documents and what it really means, and people actually breaking it down and understanding that we were not a part of their plan.
Correct. Correct. Excellent points made by both of you all, especially in regards to what they're actually saying is going to be given to the citizen.
Mhm.
If we are citizens, then why is there, again, Jim Crow, segregation, no protections,
Right.
constant lynching parties and lynching, town meetings, basically. They got photos still to this day. One of our ancestors' bodies just hanging, the whole town is out smiling. If we are citizens, then how can that even happen? Prisoners of war. That's the only way, military occupation, that's the only way that that can actually be occurring. So as we continue here, I'll start here to pick up. And to full and equal benefit of all laws and proceedings for the security of person and property as is enjoyed by white citizens, and shall be subject to like punishment, pains, and penalties, and to none other any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or customs to the contrary, notwithstanding. So again, they're saying that all of these rights and benefits are going to be, they're pretty much going to have the same rights and benefits as enjoyed by their white citizens, and also are going to be held to the same accountability or punishment to or equal to those white citizens. Again, that doesn't rhyme with what we know in history. We can go to a simple petty crime of having being caught with possession of marijuana. One kid, white person, white citizen, gets probation, goes to counseling or something. American gets locked away 5+ years or so. If it's the same, supposed to be equal punishment or equal with the white citizen, that doesn't rhyme with what we know or what we've been seeing throughout this history. I'll go ahead and jump into section 2. Section 2, and be it further enacted that any person who, under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom shall subject or cause to be subjected any inhabitant of any state or territory to the deprivation of any right secured or protected by this act, or to different punishments, pains, or penalties on account of such person having at any time been held in a condition, again, that word, condition of slavery, or involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, or by reason of his color or race, then is prescribed for the punishment of white person shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor. So again, this kind of rhymes with that last point I made in section 1. They're stating here that if we catch any of our law enforcement, policy enforcers, judges, not giving those same rights, regardless of their previous living condition, their previous conditions, if we catch you not being or putting them on an equal scale as the white citizen, you are going to be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor. Again, that doesn't rhyme with what we know from this particular government. It doesn't at all. So again, we have to ask the question, does this apply to us? we have a lot of evidence and a lot of history and stories showing that this doesn't apply to us, this section here. Anybody want to kind of piggyback off of that? I know that's a long section, but that's pretty much what I got from it thus far.
I agree, pretty much in a nutshell. And I'm noticing that they're just now starting to use the word white persons. We've never, on previous readings, we've never heard them or read anything about quote unquote white persons or even using color or race. So they kind of interjected that in this civil rights thing.
Great point. And I guess that's that reconstruction.
Mhm.
Well,
The beginning of reclassification.
the beginning of the lie.
Mhm.
Telling of the lie. Do you want to piggyback on that, Chief Alligator?
Yeah, that first sentence, and be it further enacted, then it says, highlight the part where it says that any person who under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom. You started off every meeting reading the Constitution and talking about the treaties are the supreme law of the land.
Mhm.
So those treaties are going to refer to the people of the land, which are the Americans not taxed.
Correct.
That's one lawful platform. What we're seeing here is they're bringing another group of people under a legal platform that's make believe, and it's color of law.
Mm.
It's not law, it's color of law. So we got two separate platforms here. So again, if we're of the land, why are we trying to be a part of this color of law game where you're dealing with statute, ordinance, regulations, and customs? And so what I get from this is they're outlining the penalty for anybody that's not protected under this. Shall subject or cause to be subject any inhabitant of any state or territory to the deprivation of any rights secured or protected by this act, or to different punishment, pains, or penalties on account of such persons having at any time been held in a condition of slavery or involuntary servitude. So if you're not going to treat, basically what they're saying is if we get word that you're not treating a US citizen properly and not respecting all the rights that you just read in section 1, the right to sue parties and all this, that, and the other, then they're outlining what the penalty will be. It says, or by reason of his color, race, then is prescribed for the punishment of white persons shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor. So that's not a serious charge. Guilty of a misdemeanor and on conviction shall be punished by fine not exceeding $1,000 or imprisonment not exceeding 1 year or both in the discretion of court. So all we have to do is look at our group of people and just look at 1866 to 1966. They never got that. There weren't any charges pressed on people for murdering us.
Mm-mm.
So again, how are you a citizen of this government if section 2 clearly calls out that you should at least get a misdemeanor and $1,000 fine or a year in prison? If we're quote unquote supposed to be coming up under this government as a citizen under the 1866 Civil Rights Act, then that goes back to what Chief Biko said. How were you able to go to church, Europeans, on a Sunday morning and then come out and then hang somebody in the town square and nobody get arrested? How can you kill Emmett Till? Nobody's been arrested to this day, and the lady is alive.
Mm-hmm.
That lied on, he just looked at her. So we're talking about, if you're not a prisoner of war, how can you look at a European 50 years ago and possibly lose your life and nobody go to jail, nobody get charged with a misdemeanor, and nobody gets a fine? Y'all help me. How are we trying to say we're citizens when you couldn't even look at a European 50 years ago? You couldn't go in his restaurant. You couldn't drink out his water fountain. You couldn't walk on his side of the street, but you're trying to say that you're a citizen. It don't make sense.
It doesn't.
And then it's like them using the verbiage color of law. I've never heard that, but I did look up the definition. It says color of law refers to an appearance of legal power to act that may operate in violation of law. So basically, it's against the law.
And like you said,
That was my
yeah,
first time ever hearing that phrase. So, I mean, yeah, my coin term, it is in black and white. It's right there.
What's the definition one more time? Color of law is what?
The color of law refers to an appearance of legal power to act that may operate in violation of law.
Got you. Now, let's take that in real life right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sheriff,
Mm-hmm.
they swear to the Constitution of any state that they're operating
Okay.
versus a police officer.
Mm.
The police are color of law.
Color of law.
They appear to be law.
Wow.
Who works in your courthouse when you have a court case?
The bailiff or
The
sheriff.
law, the law. Because he
Gotcha.
swears to the Constitution of that state. Who's the only one that can get you? The sheriff.
Sheriff.
So the police appear like
Wow.
they're law, but they're not. They can be in direct opposition of constitutional law.
perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
which is why they can kill and
Yep.
get away with it and be protected.
Great.
Yeah.
Great definition you read. Can you read the vindication? Not to stop your bill, Chief. I had asked her to look up vindication when you started off the read.
Okay.
Yeah, vindication basically means the act of clearing someone of blame or suspicion, or the proof that someone or something is right, reasonable, or justified.
Okay. So this is an act to protect all persons, corporations, invisible people in the United States in their civil rights and furnish the means of their vindication, righting the wrong. So this is the United States government trying to right the wrong of the civil rebellion, because we're in order with what's going on right now.
Correct. Makes sense. Makes sense. Did anybody want to pick up on section 3, or I can continue?
Yeah, I help you out. Section 3. And be it further enacted that the district courts of the United States within their respective districts shall have exclusively of the courts of the several states. Gotta move you over here. Cognizance of all crimes and offenses committed against the provisions of this act, and also concurrently with the circuit courts of the United States of all causes, civil and criminal, affecting persons who are denied or cannot enforce in the courts or judicial tribunals of the state or locality where they may be any of the rights secured to them by the first section of this act. So I'll stop right here. So now they're specifically in this section talking about the judicial branch. And they're starting off by talking about the district courts in their respective districts. And they're talking about they shall have exclusively of the courts of the several states. So district courts, the state courts, cognizant of all crimes and offenses committed against the provisions of this act. So they're both circuits are going to know about the crimes and offenses committed against the provisions of this act, and also concurrently with the circuit courts. So we're talking 3 different levels of courts: district, state, circuit, of all causes, civil and criminal, affecting persons who are denied or cannot enforce in the courts. Here's the key: or judicial tribunals. There we go back to American form of government. That's a key circuit: judicial tribunals. That's outside of the United States government's court system. So that's going to be your 5 civilized tribes. That's what, you see what I'm saying? That's where they're going to deal with their tribal members. Or judicial tribunals of the state or locality where there may be any of the rights secured to them by the first section of this act. So yeah, this right here just breaks down they're being specific with their court system within their judicial branch, how they're gonna all be in communication with crimes and offenses. Anybody else want to build on that?
I'm in alignment. It's just showing again that structure. I think each of the, I want to say last 3 documents we've read, going back to the proclamation, amnesty proclamation, to the Freedmen's Bureau Act, they're showing structure, how they're going to be pretty much processing these things. Again, any information known by X is going to be known by Y as well. So they're going to be in alignment with what's going on in regards to said person and that actual case. So it's like no excuse for something to fall outside of, you know, your awareness of said action going being processed against them. That's what I pretty much got from it.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with both of you.
All right, I'll keep going. And if any suit or protection, civil or criminal, has been or shall be commenced in any state court against any such person for any cause whatsoever, or against any officer, civil or military, or other person for any arrest or imprisonment, trespass or wrongs done or committed by virtue or under color of authority derived from this act, or the act establishing a bureau for the relief of freedmen and refugees, and all acts amendatory thereof, or for refusing to do any act upon the ground that it would be inconsistent with this act. Such defendant shall have the right to remove such cause for trial to the proper district or circuit court in the manner prescribed by the act relating to habeas corpus and regulating judicial proceedings in certain cases. All right, so we got color of law, which Chief Quietwater already said is the appearance of being law. So it starts off with state court. So basically with this part that I just read, they're saying, hey, if you get jammed up and you in state court and you feel like for whatever reason, you're not getting your case heard or it's not going through the proper procedure, then it's almost like they're giving you a right to appeal it to the district court. Let me use the district or circuit court, correct. So that's what I got from that. They're saying, hey, if the state court screw you over, you should be able to go to the district or circuit court based on the freedmen and refugees. So it's almost like it's spelling out specifically to those that were in rebellion during their civil rebellion, that internal fight. They're spelling out, hey, this is how we're going to operate moving forward. Right? It's almost like they're pushing their citizens, hey, trust this branch of our government. You don't necessarily have to come directly through the legislative or the executive branch, i.e. Andrew Johnson writing the Amnesty Act or Congress having to come out with a Freedmen's Bureau and Refugee Act. No, go through the judicial branch because we've got a state court, a circuit, and what's the other one I'm missing? District. Right. Right. So we got 3 different circuits of court that you can go through where you can get your remedy. It doesn't always have to end up in gunplay or rebellion. Y'all want to build on that?
No, that's great how you highlighted all 3 aspects of the government, all 3 branches.
Right.
Like you said, the executive branch, that was the Amnesty Proclamation. Congress with the Freedmen's Bureau, you're going to write it into law what you can get. And now we're going to act on those laws that were just passed with this act here in the judicial branch. So they're showing everything within alignment. And as you highlighted, that in those previous documents that we read, they didn't mention any Americans as far as this Amnesty Proclamation that was given. The Freedmen's Bureau didn't mention any Americans. They said freedmen and refugees of the rebel states specifically. So they're specifying who these legislations are for, these acts, and who we're protecting through the judicial system. This is showing who we're protecting and how you can be protected within that system. Again, not mentioning our people. Chief White, why you had some as well?
No, I agree. You guys broke it down pretty good.
I can see how this is going to be a conflict too, because the history on this land also shows that the initial peasants or criminals that were sent over here from Europe, they did not initially get along with the Irish or the Italians. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to that first part. I just thought about this. The first part of this document that you read said all persons born here. So they're fresh out of a rebellion against their own government. And so while the government in Section 3 is saying, hey, moving forward, you're going to go through the court process, we're going to make sure everything's copacetic. At the same time, you're giving citizenship to a whole nother group of people just by being born here. So I can see the conflict that the European has with its own people.
Right.
Because those that were rebelling, they're like, wait a minute, we fought for something and now all these people can come over. So I can see why they didn't give them honorary white status until about 70 years later. The Jew, they didn't like the Jew when they first came over here.
Irish, the Italian, a lot of them. And what you're highlighting there is the naturalization bill of 1790. Because in that bill, it stated, you're born in here. If you're born on this land or been, established residency for X amount of time, your offspring are now citizens. And if you're born, or even if you weren't born on this land or anything like that, if you had, established being on this land can prove, you had was paying rent or mortgage on a certain house, that if your offspring were born in, let's say, England, then they would be considered citizens as well.
Oh.
So like you're just highlighting, what you just highlighted there is also like, well, how the hell can that be? I got 2 generations here, myself and my grandchild or my son, and you're just letting all these other citizens of these different countries, again, Italian, Irish, all these different European countries can get the same benefits. We need to make sure we have some type of civil act or civil rights act that's for them.
Exactly.
So, great point on that. Great point on that. That where we left off here. Jurisdiction.
My bad. I stopped at certain cases.
Certain case. Okay, right here.
Yep. So the act relating to habeas corpus and regulating judicial proceedings in certain cases, approved March 3, 1863, and all acts amendatory thereof. The jurisdiction in civil and criminal matters hereby conferred on the district and circuit courts of the United States shall be exercised and enforced in conformity with the laws of the United States. Okay, so here again, this is all talking about that judicial branch. Jurisdiction in civil and criminal matters hereby conferred on the district and the circuit courts. Boom. So they're going to oversee the state courts. Y'all want me to keep going?
State courts. Yeah, I could pick up here if you like. What did you want to pick up there, Chief Quietwater?
I'll finish it off if you.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is there still feedback? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm just going.
Okay, so far as such, laws are suitable to carry the same into effect, but in all cases where such laws are not adapted to the object or are deficient in provisions necessary to furnish suitable remedies and punish offenses against the law, the common law, and modified and changed by the Constitution and statutes of the state wherein the court having jurisdiction of the cause, civil or criminal, is held so far as the same is not inconsistent with the Constitution and laws of the United States, shall be extended to and govern said courts in the trial. I may need help on this one. I may have to.
No problem.
Can you highlight where I started? Okay, so far as such. I need help with breaking this one down. I'm not too sure.
No problem. Can you highlight punish offenses against law, where it says suitable remedies and punish offenses against law? The common law. Let me mute. as modified and changed by the Constitution and statutes of the state. Stop. Now, Chief Quietwater just educated me on the definition of colorable law. It's appearing to be law. So you see how it starts off saying suitable remedies and punish offenses against law. We know what the supreme law is, treaty. Underneath the treaty would be Constitution. Okay, so they have to be referring to Constitution in this document because they've already said Americans aren't taxed. So this doesn't refer to any Americans under a tribe, confederacy, or nation. So law, Constitution. Then there's another set of law that these Europeans go by. What's the second one? Common law. So we got two separate sets of laws that they're imposing. Now the European may not know that. He may be thinking he's just under the Constitution, but he's got law, Constitution, the common law as modified and changed by the Constitution and statutes of the state, which is the colorable law. So you got common law, Constitution, and then you got the statutes of the state, which in today's world, that's what your police officers pull you over for and cite you on a ticket for. That's what they're doing. They're doing statutory. Or when you go to court for a child support case or legitimation case or custody case, you're dealing with statute. So they've got us in this third realm of reality, as Chief Quietwater said. It appears to be law, but it's not. Wherein the court having jurisdiction of the cause, civil or criminal, is held so far as the same is not inconsistent with the Constitution. So if the statute is inconsistent with the Constitution, we got a problem. If the common law is inconsistent with the Constitution, we got a problem. So it's 4 different sets of rules basically these people are playing by, and we don't even know it. We don't know which book. We don't know, based on the court we're in, we don't know what rule book they're playing out of. They could be playing out of the common law book, the Constitution, or the state statutes. I'll stop.
And that's why they can handle us the way that they can current day. I mean, because they have different avenues to fit whatever narrative they want. So they can treat us any kind of way, not give us anything, not, they can put us exactly where they want us to go. Like you said, in these 4 different areas of law. And we go for it.
That's absolutely right. With the nail in the coffin right there with that one. This is, their way of continuing to benign and neglect us pretty much. Oh yeah, this is common law now. We're not dealing with the Constitution, but I thought you said, no. That's colorable law for you being even detained that day. But it's like, okay, all these different, we're having just this basic principle with this Constitution. Again, it's basically the runaround. And there's pretty much breaking it down of how they do it within this sentence highlighted.
I'm gonna share something real quick. I'm gonna share this. I don't care because it's my experience. It fits right here. So I have a child support case through the Superior Court of a state. Okay. But initially I put myself on child support through Child Support Services, which is under a different agency, under Department of Human Resources. Okay. So your child support case coming through child support is going to come out of magistrate court. That's the lowest court within the state. When I went to court to get legal rights to my child, and then I got the order to pay child support, that's coming out of Superior Court. So Superior Court is going to supersede magistrate court, right? Now, why am I saying that? They had a glitch in their system where I don't pay child support during the summer, right? But child support services system is not set up to stop during the summer months because it's an escrow account. That's part of the reason why I appealed the judge's order, because you can't stop. I knew that because I had already been in child support system for 6 years before I went to the higher court. Why am I saying that? I got arrested in error for suspended license. Understanding jurisprudence, it was a municipality police department that kidnapped me and arrested me, right? When they took me to the county jail and they turned me over to the sheriff deputies, right? I saw the jurisdiction in the holding cell area. I never dressed out. I was able to bond out at the holding cell level. You see what I'm saying? I processed in and I processed right out. But what I'm saying is, even at that jail in that 10-hour stint that I was in there, I could see the sheriff is going to deal with all your belongings, all the money, anything dealing with business. The municipality, the colorable law officer, all they're going to do is give you food. You see what I'm saying? Get your weight, all of that. And so you can see the difference between law and colorable law. Even in account, and I just wanted to share that because I mean, we prisoners of war, things happen, right? I was able to get that situation completely dismissed and taken off my record, but that's neither here nor there. It was the fact that in this moment, I saw the two levels. I saw colorable law and constitutional law in effect in that moment, in that holding cell area. Yeah, the sheriff is going to deal with everything according to business. He's going to do the head count. He's going to take all your money and he's going to, anything dealing with real property, the sheriff or the deputy of the sheriff is going to deal with that. The colorable law officer, all he does is feed you, give you a little, whatever, the shots, whatever it is that they have to do. You can see the difference in jurisdiction. And so, like you said, they play dumb when it comes to our group, because we'll come one way, let's say we'll come constitutional, and they'll say, oh, well, that's a colorable offense. I think one of the video clips on the Instagram page you got where they had the little fake reparations hearing in 2019, and the guy was like, well, you can't give reparations to a color. Okay, well, you're about to give it to gays. You see, so they play these games.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of, switching the jurisdiction at a damn moment's notice, really. Like, you don't got to change, you ain't got to change the room for them to switch the law that's being enacted. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go into a room thinking, okay, we gonna talk about constitutional law or the law underneath the Constitution. And like, nah, but see, you violated colorable law, but what supersedes that? And that's pretty much what you was just highlighting there, Chief Alligator, at least what stuck with me there. So that's a great point, because like you said reparations can't be given to a color, but it can be given to a person, imagined person, or imaginary person, imaginary being. So it's like, okay, you're contradicting yourself at this point. You're contradicting yourself. And that in turn shows us who we are, prisoners of war underneath military occupation. You're not going to get anything if you're a prisoner. We're occupying your land. So it's like, okay.
And they're going to try that colorable law solicitor for that city that falsely arrested me. Kudos to them. They gave it was a cash bond. They gave the money back and they took the charge off, right? It cover they behind, they had to take it all the way off, right? But even when they're wrong, he tried to get me to still admit as if I was in the wrong. You understand what I'm saying? I'm explaining to him what I'm showing you. I'm giving him the court case. I'm giving him the appeal court case number. I'm like, look, this is just an incompetent judge. The system's crooked. The appeal court that had my case, they all backed him. I wasn't supposed to be educated enough to represent myself. Y'all fucked up. You messed up. You done arrested me. You know what he told me? You can't sue child support. Why not? He didn't say because you're Black, right? But he was trying to put fear. Like, you can't buck this. Like, the system just fucked you, but what you gonna do?
Yeah.
And so then he was like, you know what? Can you show me proof that you're paying? And if it wasn't for the fact that I knew my username and password by heart to log into that account and show proof that I was paying, he would have never walked to that. It wasn't a judge because this was colorable law. He was calling himself a judge, but he really wasn't a judge. He walked up there and basically whispered in his ear like, yeah, we're not going to be able to tax this one. We fucked up on him. Let him.
And then what about the end result of it all?
Huh?
What about the end result of it all? The fact that you're not paying the agency anymore.
Oh, right. And so, right, the end result of it was once I went back to child support services, and I was like, look, y'all got a problem. Y'all aren't stopping the child support payments for the summer months. And the child support attorney told me, she was like, our system isn't designed to stop. I was like, I know that. So the only option she could give me was, well, we can give you a new hearing to have a child support modification hearing. You with me? That was an attempt to bring me back under child support's jurisdiction. I said, I don't need to come under your jurisdiction. I got an order from the Superior Court. The Superior Court supersedes Magistrate Court. You know what she did? She took that document and she said, baby, you ain't got to come down here no more. She gave me my walking papers. Now I just mail that check directly to my son's mother, just like we went through a divorce decree. So I was able to beat child support services. Great reminder, Chief Quietwater. That was the end of that. Was it took them kidnapping me for 10 hours to actually get the hell out of Department of Human Resources. That's the most incompetent agency on planet Earth. That's the worst $25 I ever spent. To have women that are melanated that look like me, you come in there and they attack you like you ain't got no sense. It's horrible. And all of y'all can kiss my ass. I'm sorry.
No, for real. And like you just talking there, and I highlighted this modified.
Right, modified.
And it's like you be showing y'all
a real life example.
A real life example of what the fuck we're reading here. Modified and changed by the Constitution and statutes of the state where you in. Georgia, they modified.
Right.
So it's like, damn.
Chief Quietwater, what triggered you to make me finish it off? Because
because that's the highlight of it all. The fact that you beat the system that a lot of men fall up under and is suppressed up under. They can't get over it, but you did it, through just going through the steps that you went through. And like you said, just the incompetence of the two different agencies. They dropped the ball, and that just goes to show you what he just highlighted. They're trying to, most people don't have a clear understanding of how things work. And people don't understand that the child support agency, that's a separate agency, has nothing to do with law, has nothing to do with anything legal. It's an enforcement agency. Basically, that's all it is. But most people don't understand that. And that just goes to show you on here what we just read and what he just highlighted: modified and changed, cause, civil or criminal. It's the same thing, different agencies.
Yeah, great breakdown. Great breakdown there. It just kind of highlighted something that Chief Alligator, we spoke about. Basically, people perish for lack of knowledge. Like if Chief Alligator didn't understand the law, going back to the quote, understanding the law, not for the profession, but to understand and be able to use it in action.
Right.
Hell, Chief Alligators might still be paying that shit to this day.
Exactly. And probably 99% of people who are on child support think that it is a legally enforcing agency, but it's not. It's totally separate from the state court and any kind of jurisdiction. It's not governed by any state or local agency. It's just a separate enforcement agency.
It comes under federal. And so that's why they're so nasty to us when we come down there, because they're empowered under the federal government. I still pay child support, Chief Biko. Let me be clear. It's just I don't have to have child support services play like it's my parent and garnish the money. I write the check and physically mail it to my son's mother. You see what I'm saying? So basically, I got them out the way. I don't need you to budget.
Third party is out the way.
Yeah, I could write my own check. I could pay this on time. So yeah, basically what you're doing, man, and anybody who listens to this, that's the worst mistake I made, was paying that $25 when he was 3 months old, to put myself in the system because unfortunately our women have been conditioned to sick the same system on us that kills your own kids. That's one of the reasons why I wanted Chief Quietwater to walk through that process with me, just to see what an alpha male has to go through when you're fighting the system. You see what I'm saying? So I thought I was on some proactive type stuff, like, well, before you threaten me about sicking some European on me, I just go down here and contract with them myself. What I didn't know was you're actually paying them to harass you. It's an enforcement agency. Yeah, you're paying them to suspend your license, put warrants out on you. This shit crazy, but you didn't read. I didn't read the contract. I didn't read the contract initially. I was.
That's wild. No, that's wild. That's wild. Should we probably finish off here and then stop for the day? Let me see. I think we only got a little bit left. Where did we leave off of?
Let me say one more thing on that. Y'all got me turned up on that. Anytime we touch on that goddamn child support system, that shit, I got, hey, let me say one more thing. Let's be clear.
Get off, man.
Let's be clear. Black women, you are the problem. The female and males come out of your vagina and they're killing your kids and mass incarcerating your kids. If you don't get on the same page with us, none of this shit works. How are you giving birth to kids and allowing mass incarceration of your kid that comes out of your womb? I'll stop right there.
That's real talk. That's real talk. That's real talk. Shoot. Hell, I think we can end on that one, man. I like the energy on that one. What you thinking, Chief Quietwater? Shoot.
Yeah. We can